When it comes to design, you'll find that I am a big advocate for informed design, or design that uses concepts like theory, science, psychology, reasoning, and all kinds of evidence to really strengthen it. Design should be art with intention, in my opinion. I don't feel like design should just be art. And one of my favorite design theories to use when I design a space or objects is the concept and theory of biophilia. And so I want to talk a little about what it actually is. So biophilia, defined quite literally, means life-loving. So anything nature-related, like plants, natural light, natural materials, even animals, natural elements like water, this is all included in the definition of nature. I think more times than not, students hear biophilia and then they just decorate with plants. Yes, plants are a part of it, as you can see in these pictures. But I think you forget there is so much more to tap into when looking at the natural world. And I also want to challenge you with this thought. What if biophilia is more than just what we design? What if it helps explain why we are designing? So I always tell my students, interior design is not about interiors. It's not about space. It's not about buildings. It's really about people. We want to design spaces that make humans happy, whether they are at home, at work, or at play. And yes, we can modify spaces and buildings, but the goal is not just to decorate them. In the end, we need humans to respond in some way to what we're designing. So nature is an awesome tool that we can use to create meaningful and active interiors. And what I love about this graphic is that it shows how when we take the basic principles of nature, of health, and of sustainability, and then we apply them using concepts like color, light, yes, plants, sounds, think about scents, materials, think of air quality. If we are able to apply those concepts, then we have the power to create healthy, fun, and purposeful environments. You can create improved concentration in workers. You can reduce stress levels, enhance certain moods, or even create a sense of vitality or comfort or well-being, all by using biophilia as a tool when you're designing spaces. So I encourage each of you to go to your local library or your local university library and do a search in the academic journals for biophilia. You're going to find tons and tons of evidence and research about how biophilia is attributing to health and comforting people in different scenarios. Really, biophilia is just a big umbrella. The 3 subcategories underneath this umbrella that can help you narrow down and apply biophilia a little bit more effectively include biomimicry, where the object or space being designed functions like nature. Biomorphism is where the object or space actually looks like nature, and bioutilization is where the object or space actually uses nature as part of its design. So I want to take a look at each of these closely with you. Biomimicry. It's where the object or space functions like nature. So if you want to design with biomimicry, you have to look at how nature behaves physically as well as when it's in action. So for example, George de Mestral noticed how well those really annoying burrs were sticking to his pants when he would walk through a field. I mean, those things are tough to get off. So he looked a little more closely at what the burr actually looks like and saw that there were these tiny little hooks in the spikes that were able to really catch the fibers of his pants. That observation led him down the path to have Velcro created, which Velcro is freaking everywhere now, right? And even when the military is designing things like stealth craft, they look at the way birds of prey, like falcons and hawks, and how they move so swiftly and sometimes silently through the air. The position of their heads, their wings, and their tail leads them to design some pretty crazy and clandestine aircraft, all based on bird aerodynamics. So let's talk a little bit about how to apply this to interior design. One designer named Lillian Van Dahl designed her chairs based on plant cell structures. So these structures provide a soft and flexible structure, but it also has some rigidity to it. Interface is a carpet manufacturing company, and they were inspired by, believe it or not, the feet of geckos. You ever seen one of those just kind of hanging out effortlessly on the glass of their terrarium? Well, they studied their feet structures and designed a non-adhesive tape that has similar structures that can be used to lock carpet down to the subfloor. So if you've ever worked with carpet, you would know that that has some nasty chemicals in it, including VOC, and that definitely pollutes the air quality. So the less we use, the better for everybody. Biomorphism is where you use the same looks, forms, colors, and textures that nature provides, and you design objects or spaces or even buildings based on them. I mean, there are some beautiful forms and structures to get inspired by in nature, and sometimes they have deeper meaning to be gained in terms of like cultural or religious beliefs. So for instance, the Lotus Temple in Delhi, India is designed after the lotus flower. In Hinduism, the lotus equates to beauty and fertility, prosperity, spiritualism, eternity. So what better shape to use for a religious building than a lotus flower? The Beijing National Stadium in China is often referred to as a modern-looking bird's nest. It was inspired by the combination of crackled glazed pottery that is local to Beijing, and is also inspired by some heavily veined scholar stones that were used in China. And actually, if you research further, you're going to find actually quite a few naturally related inspirations for this building. And when it comes to actual interior design, you can see how these objects have been inspired by different things in nature. Can you guess what they are inspired from? Bioutilization is when an object actually uses nature more actively in the design, not just in its looks or how it functions. So that means the actual materials are being used in the object or the space. So for instance, there is a fungus that can be formed into environmentally friendly materials like compostable packaging. Latex extracted from a tree can be used as an alternative to cowhide or genuine leather for textile and upholstery purposes. Other examples include like algae curtains, which not only provides shade for building residents, but it also filters out CO2 and reduces heating costs and produces biomass for energy. And just so that you know, biomass is simply organic matter used as fuel for the generation of electricity. So in conclusion, nature provides inspiration for a lot in design, for the form, for the function, as well as just using nature as part of design. So your interior design projects can be strengthened by getting inspired by what nature's doing. So go out there and observe nature. Look at how it uses the elements and principles of design and see what kind of amazing design you can create.